Hey there, everyone. This is Trent, the retirement planning coach, and welcome to this video. In this video, I am just going to simply cover your retirement living expenses and expenses and within NewRetirement specifically. I think sometimes there can be some excuse me, there can be some confusion on how to complete this area of your plan when you're going through your plan in NewRetirement. So I just wanted to provide you, I guess, a few best practices from a financial planner's perspective and something that I use with my clients. So here we go. If you click on my plan, it will expand the sections of your plan. And if you go down to expenses and healthcare, this is the area that you'll want to, the recurring expenses, that's what you'll want to list as your typical average monthly living expenses that you will have now and in retirement. And then what you can do is you can list the one-time expenses that you might have. So there's a lot of different ways to think about this, but the way that I think about retirement recurring expenses is something that happens every year or every month. And you can kind of total up those things into one simple number, right? So you could have entertainment, groceries, utilities, travel, gifts, you name it. You could add up all of those different line items and put that in the recurring expense area. All right. And once you click on the recurring expense area, you'll have a few options. My recommendation, just to keep it simple to start, is to use the basic budgeter. And that is not listing out every single line item on your budget, which is the Planner Plus budgeter. I would keep it simple, because it just makes it easy to adjust as you build different plans and modify your different scenarios within NewRetirement. So I would encourage you to come up with a monthly number that is all of, for the recurring expenses, that is all of your ongoing expenses that you always have or typically have on a monthly basis, and use that as your recurring number. And so what you can do is you can create different recurring areas of your budget. You can have your living expenses, and then you can maybe separate some travel or separate different multi-year recurring expenses. So you can get a little bit creative, but again, like, I would keep this super simple to start, because it just makes everything easier when you are going in and modifying your plan or creating new scenarios. One-time expenses, this is pretty straightforward. This is something like, hey, we are going to take a family vacation next year, and it's going to cost, I don't know, $30,000 to take our whole family to Europe and stay there for 3 weeks, right? Something like that. And so you would add that as a one-time expense. You can also add one-time expenses for really far out, whether that is healthcare related, moving related, gifting related, anything that is in like a one-off in the future, you can add that under one-time expenses. And it's pretty easy to do. I'm not going to walk you through how to do it exactly, but you just label it, put in the amount from which account, and then at which age it's going to happen. Very, very straightforward. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on, I'm trying to keep this video short, is the medical expense area. And there's, again, some confusion with this area that I typically see with my clients, and I just want to give my perspective on how this you might want to consider completing this. As far as your Medicare expenses and medical expenses specifically, if you click estimator, it's going to estimate for you how what your typical medical expenses would be over the course of the rest of your life. Okay, throughout retirement, and it could be several $100,000 of expenses over the course of multiple decades. But the problem is that if you use the estimator, see, it's 314,000. Okay, if you use the estimator, what you're going to want to do is make sure that your recurring living expenses aren't covering or aren't including that specific expense, such as parts A and B. Because if you're including what this would be up here, you're double dipping if you want to keep your plan accurate. But what you could also do is you could use this estimator as a way to err on the side of caution as well, so that you're adding in another layer of expenses that might not actually happen. So it's kind of up to you as far as like a preference, but at least from like my experience, what we typically do with our clients is that we come up with a living expense number that typically includes what this, Medicare and medical expenses would be on a monthly basis. And then we just bake that into the recurring living expenses, or that's typically already included in that number that our clients give us, right? So just different ways to think about it. You can specifically add in and itemize what your medical expenses would be. You can use the estimator. If you're going to use the estimator, just make sure you're not including that in your living expenses up here. And then if you're doing the itemized route and using the general recurring area to include your medical expenses and healthcare expenses, just make sure that you just don't put anything for itemized. You can just include that up there. Or you could create line items here for the itemized medical expenses. So it's really up to you, but at least if you want to keep it super simple, you can just plan on putting that additional layer of expenses, including in your main budget. But everyone's brains work a little bit differently, and some people want to separate them into different areas. So that's it for this video. Again, the recurring expenses that you have in here, that's like your main living expenses and things that are happening on a monthly recurring basis. And then one-off is very obvious on what that is. And then make sure that you aren't double dipping, but if you are double dipping, it's intentionally, and you're doing it to err on the side of caution by adding another layer of expenses on top of your living expenses. All right. So I hope this video was helpful. The expenses in healthcare area within NewRetirement, it's just a section that I get a lot of questions on, how do I input my expenses? Should I do itemized? Should I just do a flat number? Should I include the Medicare healthcare estimator or itemize it? This is just a really simple way that you can think about how this area works. This is just cash flow. So it really doesn't matter how it's labeled. It's just cash flow out from your situation. So it doesn't matter if it's categorized here, or there. It's just all cash flow. So at the end of the day, it's not going to make a substantial difference how you tell the system that you're spending money. But this is just a simple way to do it. Okay. If you need any further assistance or support, just join the Retirement Planning Club. It's a free community where you can take some training videos that are free and learn how to use NewRetirement in building your retirement plan. So go to the link below, or you can go to secureyourretirementnow.com RPC. That's RPC. All right. Again, if you got value out of this video, like it, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these videos. When I see people subscribing, it motivates me to create these videos for you. So help me help you. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.